Run! Go! Get to the Jibber Jabber! Ladies and gents and everything in between, welcome to this week's episode of the Jibber Jabber podcast and YouTube channel. This is so much fun doing this on video, man. I can't believe how much fun we're having with it. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us again. It's myself, J-Mac, as always, with Kevin Wells. How are we doing, Kev?
Living the absolute dream.
That you said that with such sadness in your eyes.
And to be honest, we are actually kind of living the dream, so there's nothing to kind of be sad about. And in my workplace today, we had a conversation with the men's mental health fellas. They hold this big meeting with all us guys, and they're like, guys, you know it's okay to talk, right? And I was sitting there going, I've got a lot to be happy about. I don't know if I'm welcome here, right? And they're all like this. Yeah, I hate it because I can't go out and I can't buy ingredients for cooking. And yeah, I hate it because blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like this. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I hate being in this fucking meeting, man, because it's bringing me down with all you cunts. So I'm off, man.
We're going to need the bleep machine a lot to actually keep this video with the possibility of it ever getting monetized. So.
Exactly. Don't worry, I'll use the bleeper.
Yeah, use the bleeper. Yeah, fucking dick.
But yeah,
so yeah, this is it's going to be a fun little episode this week. What we decided to do was combine Kevin's passion of wrestling with my passion for movies, right? So what we decided to do initially, it was like, let's look at movies that, like, terrible movies that wrestlers have been in, and then we noticed a trend. What was that trend?
That they weren't in any rotten movies, that they were all class.
No, but good try. The trend was Hulk Hogan. My goodness gracious me, that fella has been in some utter crap. Now, doesn't mean they were bad films, but they were crap. Do you know what I mean? So it's something that we'll unwrap it as we go. But wrestlers in movies, it's gone back for a long time. I mean, the first one I remember really is probably They Live, you know, with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh mate, I've got that on Blu-ray special edition.
I know that's one of your favorites. I've not seen it since I was probably too young to really understand it, so I think I need to give it another go. I heard there's a fight scene in it with David Keith that just goes on and on and on.
It does, and do you know why? Because Roddy Piper actually put that fight together.
Right.
And obviously with him being a wrestler, and not in the wrestling world, Roddy Piper is a legend. So he's one of the guys that were quite revered in the locker room for being someone that, if you wanted someone to put your match together with the psychology and with the realism, right, not this flip-flop stuff that you see today, but realism, you would go to someone like Roddy Piper. So he brought that element, and that's quite an interesting key point of that. He brought that element of wrestling to the movie business, and look at us now, we're still talking about that fight scene that does go on for some fucking time, man.
Again, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I can't remember a lot of it, but I do remember that going on for a long time. And obviously you've got the iconic, I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass and I'm all out of bubblegum. Yeah. That's only a wrestler could get away with saying that line in a movie, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's an example of a good film with a wrestler in it, and he carried the film relatively well. It was that type of movie. Now, moving on for that, I mean, more recently we've had The Rock. Obviously, he's the biggest guy in the world right now, like kind of in the movie star kind of realm. He's just everywhere. Every second movie that comes out has got The Rock in it, or Dwayne Johnson as he goes by these days. You know, has he dropped The Rock from his movie credit?
No.
It used to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Mm-hmm. Is it still that?
Well, bit of both, because when he left for Hollywood, when he left WWE, which is unheard of, by the way, Vince McMahon had a deal with him where he just gave him The Rock, which I don't know what he done to get that, but that never happens. So he still owns The Rock, and he was still using The Rock. And if you were to ask him now, he would still say, "Yeah, I'm still The Rock." But I think what you said, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, is probably where it's at, because it's hard to kind of. I don't know if I've ever had a conversation where someone was like, "Yeah, the movie guy, The Rock," and never brought up wrestling. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, because what? Get this right. What the world and Hollywood are seeing now of Dwayne Johnson, we already knew he was capable of back in the 90s / early 2000s, because The Rock was what he is in the movie industry now. He was that already in wrestling. So we already knew that was it. He basically started again, left wrestling and started from the very bottom. But people like me are not surprised that he's at where he's at, because it's The Rock. He was always that to us. Just everybody else on a bigger scale now sees that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the beauty of certain wrestlers going to the movie industry. Well, here's something for you, right? So you said, the trend was that Hulk Hogan was in all these movies. Hulk Hogan opened the door for wrestlers to go from wrestling to transition into movies. The Rock ripped the door off the hinges.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Brother.
And just going back to about his name and how it appears. I mean, I think if I was him, I don't think I'd ever drop The Rock. Might hurt my toe.
See, usually I'd laugh at jokes like that.
No, you don't have to. It's fine. It's fine. So I think his first time that I'd ever seen him in a film, it might have been his first movie role, was the Mummy 2, or the Mummy Returns.
The Mummy Returns, yeah.
And he's not in it very much. He's in it at the start, and then a terrible CGI version of him shows up for another 10 minutes at the end. But it kind of paved the way for him to work his way into the movie business, and he did things like Walking Tall and Welcome to the Jungle and stuff like that, and they were actually pretty decent. And then he made, like, you seen, we spoke about it in the previous podcast, Schwarzenegger passed him the torch in a movie. Have fun. You're the new action guy. And he squandered it for a while. He started doing silly kind of Disney movies like The Tooth Fairy and Game Plan and stuff like that. Now, they were all right for what they were, but it was too early in his career to make that jump to family films. Schwarzenegger took his time with that. He was action, and then he went family. He wasn't in it long enough, and I think he made a mistake, and it kind of killed it a wee well for him. But then he's obviously came back with a vengeance, and now he's everywhere. So to go back to our main subject of today's conversation, it's going to be the movies that Hulk Hogan did. Now, I watched 2 over the last 2 days, and one of them I had a lot of fun. The other one I did not. And see if you can work out which one was which when we're talking about it.
Well, let's kind of look at what the body of work that Hulk Hogan has done in the movie industry. If I said to you right now, or if you said to someone, "What's your favorite Hulk Hogan movie?" What is there one that is solidly on top of the mountain that's like, well, that's the best Hogan movie? I don't think there is.
No, it's kind of hard to.
Three Ninjas is revered. People talk about that fondly.
Yeah, but not that one. And it's like trying to pick your favorite color is shite. It's
yellow, brother.
they're all shite. I mean, it might be shite with a yellow vest on, but it's still shite.
Excuse me.
No,
no taking that.
No. Of course, I jest. So, the 2 films that I watched, and they're pretty much ingrained in your memory, I think. Anyway, so I watched Secret Agent Club, which I've never seen before, and I watched Suburban Commando. Now, Secret Agent Club, we'll delve into that for a minute.
Let's start there. Let's start Secret Agent Club.
Yeah, let's start there. Kevin, tell me your memories of, like, maybe...
I've got a really good story. Great story about it.
Great. I was going to ask you if you remember the first time you've seen it, but if you've got a great story, that'll do me.
Right. So, where we grew up in Scotland, for anybody that's listening over in America, which is pretty much everyone, in Scotland, we had a supermarket called Quick Save. Right? Strangest thing. Quick Save started selling VHS players, right? And I must have been about 6, 7. Quick Save started selling VHS players in a box, and it came with VHS tapes. Now, I specifically was like, Mum, please, for Christmas, can I have that? Because I could see Hulk Hogan's face on one of the movies. I wasn't bothered about the VHS player. I'll
Right.
take the upgrade, right? But Hulk Hogan's face was on it. And I was like, I need this, right? This VHS player that came with in a box with other, it was basically your VHS player, movie. So you open the box, there's these tapes, as you would call them. So,
Can it beat a tape? Can it beat a
right,
tape?
but here's the best of it, right? The movies that were in there were movies like Let's Ruin Dad's Day with Judge Reinhold, right? Did you ever seen that? No? Monkey
Never heard of it.
Business. Monkey Business.
I remember Monkey Business.
Fortune Hunters,
No.
right? All these Forest Warriors with Chuck Norris,
I need to watch that tonight.
right?
I have no idea what it is, but
mate,
I need to see it.
Watch Forest Warriors, right? Watch Forest Warriors. Basically, it's kids that have a treehouse. It's that whole thing, right? It's like watching Dennis, but Chuck Norris comes out to get like the adults that are trying to bully these kids, and Chuck Norris comes out of the fucking forest with a stick, starts battering them.
Oh my god. Oh, speaking of Chuck Norris, have you seen that he's had to release a press statement today saying that he wasn't at the Capitol riots? Some guy took a selfie with a fellow that looks a lot like Chuck Norris, and he's had to come out and say, "No, it was not me, man." But honestly, if you haven't seen it, Google it. That's you, Kevin, and you that are watching. Please Google it. It's hilarious. This guy is a lot like him. The only thing that kind of separates them, I think, is their nose. Nose is slightly different. Other than that, it's a chucking double.
Oh man. So my mum, being so sound, woke up Christmas Day, knew what it was, picked up the parcel. I was like, nah, that's it. Opened it, there it was. I was like, yes! Set it all up, and I put in the videotape for Secret Agent Club. Behold, my childhood. This is one of the movies that I spent a lot of time watching it. I would watch it, rewind it, and watch it. I'd done that with quite a lot of movies growing up. This was one of them. And at the time, I've got to say, I enjoyed it. Right? I'm an impressionable child watching Hulk Hogan. Now, the one thing that kind of annoyed me about it is that Hogan doesn't actually play the main character. He's kind of like he's the plot, but he's not the main character. He's the fallen hero almost that's needing saved.
It's kind of like Bruce Willis is these days. They use his face to sell a movie, and they either kill him off halfway through or he's hardly in it.
Yeah, and I thought strange is that on the videotape. I don't know if this was the same. I mean, I've got Secret Agent Club on DVD. Let me just tell you this as well. You know those videotapes?
Wait. You bought it on DVD as well?
Yeah. I've got the story of it. Because see all those tapes that came with that videotape, with that video player, they were from Prism Video. Prism?
Yeah.
Right? Now, I searched for ages. How do I find these movies? And I couldn't find them. This is at the point where VHS is now changing over to DVD. Kid you not? I have a box set there of those exact same full movies that I got in that tape fucking bundle.
It's coming a DVD box set.
A DVD box set with all the same movies. I was like, yes! It was like 15 quid, right? Of utter shite that anybody would be like, right now you find them in charity shops. Nobody wants these movies, right? And I was like, no! I was like, they actually transferred them over to DVD. Yes. I'm going to insert a picture in this podcast of me with this box set to show you, which will probably arrive around now. But yeah, I got it again on DVD. So I've got Secret Agent Club over there in my DVD collection. I loved it. Now, here's an interesting thing about this movie, right? Huge Rocky Horror Picture Show fan. Absolutely love that, right? Favorite musical, one of favorite movies ever. Did not realize Barry Bostwick was actually in Secret Agent Club that whole time because he'd aged, he'd gone all grey. You know the magic guy, ta-da! The guy that they thought was there to help them, but was actually the bad guy.
Oh, that wank!
Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
remember.
Barry Bostwick. That's Brad from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
See, I've never seen Rocky Horror. It's not something that interests me. I think we spoke about it before, and you've reacted like, "What?" I've still not seen it. It
Literally
it
have
doesn't
the
interest
same
me.
tattoos, Frankenfurter. Just saying.
I've got the same tattoo as nobody. How shit is that?
Does that not say Merry Christmas and Murray under it?
No, it says dragon in Chinese, and then my
Dragon.
son's name underneath it. Yeah.
I didn't know you read Chinese. Does it definitely say that? Because you
It
can.
definitely does, because it comes up at the start of Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Right.
Unless the filmmakers were just trolling the entire world into getting that on their arm, and it just says something like, "I'm a fucking knob."
I love it. I love it. So when I realized that Barry Bostwick, years after spending so much time watching it, I realized that was Barry Bostwick. I was like, that's mad. So let's talk a wee bit about the movie. The plot, obviously, is Hulk Hogan owns a toy shop, or does he, right? Turns out he's actually a secret agent that goes about doing secret agent stuff. And then he gets
secret agent stuff.
mate, see, do you know, just from watching Hogan movies, I got a real feel for like early 90s movies, and that's it. Secret agent stuff. Going up. I've missed that. It's been a real treat watching these movies because I've missed that.
I have to say, like, it was more Suburban Commando did that for me than Secret Agent Club, but
yes.
I have no kind of nostalgic connection to Secret Agent Club. That makes a big difference to how you feel about a film when you watch it. Probably. If it's nostalgic, you will enjoy it more, even if it's utter crap. The Secret Agent Club I had no link to. Now, going right for the opening credits, the thing that grabbed me was the music. It was kind of like Mortal Kombat style techno, and it does grab your attention. It's 90s as hell, and it's really cheesy, but it was pretty class. And then we find out that the plot revolves around this weapon that is getting sold to the highest bidder, and it's a very dangerous weapon that looks like a fucking Nintendo Zapper, right? What? It looked like the Nintendo Zapper fucked the Ghost Box from Ghostbusters, and they had this love child lump of plastic. Now, nothing about this gun looks real. It's ridiculous, and it basically turns people into nothing. They flash different colors. It's not even different. No, they flash in a white light color and just blow into 1,000 bits with no blood and absolutely nothing to be scared of. The Hulk Hogan shows up, and the first thing I thought was, "Oh no, he's got hair." They've given him hair in this one, which gladly turns out to be a wig, which is part of his disguise. So he takes it off, and he's got the usual kind of Hulk
Can we
Hogan.
just talk about that for 1 second, right? Because even in Suburban Commando, I think, right, if he wasn't Hulk Hogan, there's no way in hell he'd be playing that character, right? Because that's not an attractive, cool, badass haircut that he's got, man. Do you know what I mean?
Terry Nutkins.
Right?
Of course it's not.
It really is.
The worst haircut in history. I mean, he gets away with it because he's Hulk Hogan, and it was his look. You look at him in Rocky 3, for example. He's got a full head of hair in that, pretty much.
Thunder lips.
Aye, and it's pretty much a full head of hair, and that was obviously earlier in his career. But when he lost it, he just embraced it. He was like, fuck it. I do not care. This is going to be me.
Kinda, because he always wears the bandana to cover it, but if he's in a match, he'll take the bandana off. And
the bandana does make it look better.
Yeah,
100%. It kind of takes, funnily enough, any other person wearing a bandana, it would just draw the attention. Like, what are you're wearing a bandana, you fanny. What a bandana does for him is it draws the attention away from his hair.
Yeah.
And he actually does look better with the bandana. Anyway.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. But that's what I'm saying. Like his hair in most of the movies, bar Shadow Warriors 2, where his hair's like fucking brown and all shaggy.
So that kind of stood out, but he's still got his trademark moustache at first. That's a wig as well. He's got a face wig. I couldn't believe it. He looks so weird without a moustache as well, didn't he?
Mate, did he not end up looking like a kidney bean after he took all his stuff off?
A kidney bean? Where did that come from?
Well, go and Google a picture of a kidney bean and tell me that doesn't look like Hulk Hogan when he takes his wig and his mustache off.
You know, it looks like that. You know, Jeff Dunham, the ventriloquist guy, does Ahmed the Dead Terrorist. It looks like the jalapeno that he's got. Big bum chin. So, there's this bad guy, like a big bad henchman. He's like the main henchman in the film, not the main baddie, the main henchman. His name's Rex. Now I assumed it was spelled R-E-X. No, it's W-R-E-C-K-S. Rex. He's obviously a very destructive person. Now, in the same vein as kind of James Bond and stuff like that, he's a villain that's got an artificial body part, and you think, right, okay, where's this going? Normally, these artificial body parts assist the bad guy in some way.
That was coming.
All it does is give him a limp. Jaws can chew through metal cable. This guy can limp, and it squeaks. It squeaks all the time. Like it's so irritating. The noise of that squeaking. There's a few irritating sounds in this film, but that's one of them. Also, you can tell a mile away it's made of foam rubber. There's not a bit of it actually looks like metal. It's fucking hilarious. The special effects are shockingly bad. I mean, you see people getting shot with this Nintendo gun, and they just kind of fly apart, and you have to see it to believe it. I can't even describe how bad the effects were. I mean, this was in the 90s, and these effects were straight out of the 70s. I feel like something like Doctor Who or Blake's 7. And then she's going to demonstrate the weapon by shooting a live target, shooting basically some random guy that was standing about, to demonstrate it to some rich Arab that it actually does work and kill people. So you see her kind of looking at these three guys standing together. I think they're supposed to be Indian, based on the look I was judging. Sorry. And then she kind of looks at the guy in the middle, and the two guys at the side walk away like, oh, I'm not taking any part of this. But one of them does this weird kind of chicken walk as he walks away. He's like, it totally oversold the sneaky walk off, and it's really funny to watch. Then obviously Hulk Hogan comes in, gets the gun, saves the day. Now the way he gets the gun, it's hidden behind laser beams at this point. It's in like a little laser enclosed cabinet, you could say. And the way he gets it out is he looks through a glass of wine, through the wine, and the wine somehow exposes the lasers. What the fuck is that? I mean, I understand this is a kid's film, right? But all he needed was, I don't know, vape. There's the lasers fucking staring through a glass of wine like that. So silly. Anyway, I had a feeling that Rex, now you told me I was wrong, I had a feeling that Rex was maybe supposed to be Macho Man, and he turned it down, because he looks like him. He's got long dark hair, he's got sunglasses to begin with, and he even says, oh yeah, like that. And I thought, surely he's turned that down, but you gave me a bit of insight into that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Macho Man, if it was like, if that character was based off Macho Man, it was definitely not done with him in mind to play it. It would be more of a slight. But then that would assume that Hogan had any kind of creative control over this movie, which he might have, by the way, because in his wrestling contracts, he always had creative control when it came to wrestling. Unfortunately, at that point in time, and pretty much up till Macho Man died, Hogan had actually played a part in his wife, Miss Elizabeth, actually divorcing him. I mean, obviously, you can't blame it on Hogan, but when Miss Elizabeth had left Randy Savage, she went to stay with the Hogans, and because of that, Randy was like, fuck Hogan. He helped, break my marriage, and he's like, that was on you, brother. You know what I mean? They were just being friends to Miss Elizabeth. That's how the story goes, anyway. So they two, I mean, Randy Savage made an album, a full album, talking shit, where he raps about be a real man, and he's talking complete and utter shit about Hulk Hogan. Like he hated him, right? Mm-hmm. After their run in WWF. But here's the funny thing: who inducts Macho Man Randy Savage into the WWE Hall of Fame? Hogan. How does that even make sense?
That's a conversation for another podcast.
One I can think of. But do you know what I mean? That's how much the dislike between the both of them were at that point. So I
Right.
very much don't think that would have been in mind for Randy Savage. If anything, the person that wrote the movie probably thought, you know what, this will make Hogan laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Aye.
you know, I may be wrong, but that's just what I would surmise.
So we move on for the opening of the film, which, by the way, has probably one of the hottest baddies ever. She's a proper MILF, that baddie.
She reminds me of Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, a wee bit. Yeah, she's lovely. Anyway, we get past the opening scene with him getting the gun. We then cut to a kid's baseball game. Now, you know this is going to end up being his kid now. The child acting in this film is actually pretty decent.
I didn't like him.
No, the child acting in this film is horrendous. That kid has got the most punchable face I've ever seen on a kid. I don't know what it is about him. I just spent the whole film wanting to reach into the screen and punch him right in the mouth, which is, I mean, I'm a parent. That's a terrible thing to say.
What age do you think he is in the movie?
Probably 12, 13.
Right. At 12, 13, did you know the make and model of a car?
I did know a lot of people that did. I didn't, because I wasn't into cars, but actually my mate, Charles,
I thought he was 13.
He was very good. It might have been 11.
There's a scene in it where he goes like, guys, split up, we need to find my dad's car. It's a silver Volvo. That's not how a child speaks. It's find my dad's car.
It's silver and it's got a big fat back on it.
Right.
Well, speaking of the Volvo, when Ray, who's Hulk Hogan, when he is racing to get to his son's baseball game, that Volvo sounds like a Ferrari. There's this clearly added in sports car sound that just does not fit the car. So I noticed that right away. Then we get to see Ray in the toy shop that he's supposed to own, or he does own, whatever. And when he gets to the toy shop, he opens the case that's got the gun in it, right? He opens it to look at the gun. And when he opens the case, he laughs. I'm like, what are you laughing at? It's like, what are you laughing at?
I don't know, maybe.
Did it have a joke written on it that we'd never seen the first time? And we also get introduced to James Hong, who plays the guy that helps him in his toy shop. Now, when I seen James Hong, I was like, oh, there's a Chinese guy, James Hong. Is he Chinese? Nope. He's Japanese in this film. I bet early 90s racism got on there where they go, yeah, he looks about right. Fucking terrible, man. His name's Yamata, I think, in it. I'm sure that's his name, but as soon as I heard the name, I was like, that's a Japanese name.
And of course the Japanese kid can fight.
Of course he can. Of course. And by the way, a decent little martial artist. I'll give the boy credit for it. But of course he knew how to do like black belt level karate.
But then again, I suppose it was a cultural thing over there to grow up fighting, right? Or at least
I mean, it's probably like a discipline thing. You understand it, but
yeah.
There was a time where nobody would have even thought about any kind of Asian person doing martial arts until Bruce Lee kind of opened the bag. And then everybody would ask every Chinese or Japanese or Korean person they met, "Do you know kung fu? Do you know karate?" So it's a cultural thing. But
like, do us Scotsmen eat haggis most nights and run about in a kilt?
Yep.
Of course we do. Of course we do.
Mostly all at the same time.
Yeah. You need to catch a haggis first, though. Get up the top of the hill, chase it round and round and round, and when you finally catch it, then you can eat it.
So Hulk Hogan tries to kind of dress up as a geek. This is his kind of real life persona. He's this geek with glasses, and he looks ridiculous. There's no buying it. Like it's like, do you expect just by putting glasses on, folk aren't going to notice the fact that you are 98% muscle? It doesn't work like that. Like the Superman thing. Oh, you don't recognise me now. So it does look weird without his moustache, though. Say that at the beginning. It does look weird without it. It does make him look a wee bit more geeky than he does with the tash. Only certain people can do that with a moustache. You know, most people grow a moustache. You're like, oh, keep him away from the kids. But he rocks it. Anyway, the bad guys find out where they are. I think there must be some kind of tracking device in the gun or some shit like that. I think that's what it was. So the bad guys show up, and Ray and his son are racing away, either trying to get away from the bad guys or trying to catch them. I can't remember what. I really wasn't that interested. But what I did notice was that you could see the shadow for the camera rig on his shoulder for the entire shot in the car, and that made me smile a wee bit. At one point, they do like a Dukes of Hazzard style jump over like a kind of crest in the road. It happens in a lot of older films. You just see the car approaching, then all of a sudden, boom! Right, they land, and the front of the car gets absolutely obliterated. Right, the grille falls off, the lights fall out, everything. It's just an absolute mess. Next shot, perfect. Nothing wrong with the car again. It was that commando moment. It's these things that you learn to look for in these kind of old cheesy films, but I bit my tongue. They really, really come out in your face in this film. And then Rex, the guy with the rubber leg, or supposed to be metal, gets the wee boy onto a rooftop, and to get off the rooftop, there's a big inflatable bear on the roof. For some reason, it must be some kind of advertisement for a shop. And the boy just holds onto the back of this bear and jumps off the roof. What would happen if you did that, right? Is either that's going to burst as soon as it hits the ground, or it's going to bounce you off it as soon as it hits the ground. He lands and just rolls off it like there was no resistance. It's like that. Terrible way to escape. More pish. Again, I understand it's a kid's film, but it's just annoying me at this point. Then he goes to his secret club that's got a sign pointing to it.
Secret club.
Secret club. That's no a secret, mate. You know, I'm struggling to wrap my head and yours around how fucking bad this is. Having a sign with an arrow that says secret club is a wee bit counterintuitive, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I can stick up for this. I think it's because as a child, the club's secret for you, but I probably would do the same thing as a child. I probably let's get a sign pointing to my secret club.
Well, to quote Marv in Home Alone, yeah, he's a kid. Kids are stupid.
Pretty much, man.
So then we get introduced to these other wee band of fucking buddies who are all an utter pain in the hole. There's a brother and sister. I can't remember their names, but we find out they're brother and sister because they insult each other by calling each other brother and sister. That's how they tell us that the kids are brother and sister. They're like, shut up, big brother. You shut up, little sister. What? When did you just use a sibling's title as an insult?
I know. They could at least went for something more original, like I'm telling mum. Right?
I know. That would have worked so much better. Hey, big brother. Hey, little sister. Oh, God.
Love it. Love it.
So, at this point, Hulk Hogan is captured by the baddies, and they've got him hooked up to this simulator thing. And the image that he keeps seeing in the simulator is his son that's been computer generated.
Where is it?
Just shouting, I hate you, I hate you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Asking where the gun is to try and get him to give up. Now, apparently, this VR system works in conjunction with some kind of drugs that they gave to Hulk Hogan as well. The drugs and the VR together should make him susceptible to giving the answers to whatever the questions are being asked inside the VR system. But Hulk Hogan doesn't give in. Do you know why?
Why?
Because he fought the drugs. Now, I'm not a pharmacologist, right? But I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter how much you tell a drug not to take effect, it's going to take effect. No, stop it! Stop it! Don't! Ah, shit. That's not how it works.
He's fighting the drugs. If I could just drill.
Drilling his brain. Again, annoying. He didn't. You know the problem with that mad scientist doctor guy? He didn't look mad enough. He should have had wilder hair, you know, like Doc Brown hair or something like that, just to kind of bring home the point that he's a fucking screwball. And we keep hearing this bad guy music whenever Rex shows up as well, and the bad guy music is awful. I wish I could remember how it goes because I would act it out, but I can't. It's such obvious bad guy music, and it's just irritating. Excuse the noise if you can hear that. My kid's still up. So the bad guy music is woeful. You know, it's just such an obvious sound to it, and again, it's a kids' film, so you can kind of forget it. So the kids are out trying to find Ray, okay, and this guy pulls up in a van, pertaining to be a friend of their dad's. Okay, they don't know who he is. He rolls the window down as the kids are running away from the bad guys. Says, "Kids, get in the van." Good message. Really good message. Never seen the guy before. Don't know who he is. Kids, get in the van. All he was missing was some sweeties. You know, it's just a bad message. There's also bad messages in Suburban Commando. We'll talk about them as well. And then I think somehow Ray kind of escapes this VR thing, kind of batters a couple of people, and then he gets caught in a trap as he's escaping. This thing, he kind of trips a motion sensor, and this essentially like a bed frame just falls through the ceiling and traps him. And I'm pretty sure he could lift it with one arm. You know, it's so fucking silly. I wish I could kind of describe it better, but I can't. It looked like a bed frame. There's no way that it would have actually stopped him.
No.
But yeah, and again, at this point, the kids are back at their secret club, and somehow this is 1993, I think. And
1991 was Secret Agent Club, wasn't it?
Was it 91? No, that was Suburban
Commando was 91. That was 99.
No. I'm sure it was 93 or 94. It was earlier.
Was it? I thought it was 99.
Yeah. Give it a Google while I chat away here.
Well, I will.
So somehow in 1993, these kids have got a computer in their secret base in the garden that is also hooked up to the internet, which Sly, who's the little black friend, he manages to hack into the shadow. I think it is called the Shadow Agency system.
96. Yes,
96.
the shadow.
So they managed to hack into that system and find out who Ray actually is, because obviously he's been living a double life. His son doesn't know that he's a secret agent until obviously they start getting chased by the bad guys. But they looked into him.
So this child can hack shadow.
Yeah, without actually typing. If you look at his fingers, he's not touching any of the keys.
Basically just doing that.
They've just added in a sound effect. And for some reason, when he's typing, he's acting like he's dodging things that are flying at him at the screen. It's like, what are you dodging, buddy? So he hacks into the system to find out about Ray, and it's talking about all his kind of commendations and stuff that he's had. And they mentioned that as part of this organization, he managed to broker a peace deal in the Middle East, and he was given a commendation for it. Now, I don't know how world politics works, but I don't think spies and secret agents are the ones that barter peace deals in the Middle East. I'm pretty sure that's done by politicians. So again, also, I noticed they let him wear his wig for his ID photo, which was class. He's wearing a wig in his ID. What the perk?
There are flaws.
And then when they go and try and rescue him, they're just about to go into the bad guy's compound to rescue Ray. The kids with their silly headpieces on that are toys. They raid the toy shop for weapons and supplies. Right. Anyway, like just before they run in, the Japanese kid shouts "Banzai." Banzai! Right. Why? Banzai means 10,000 years. Let that fucking sink in for a minute. Then they knock somebody out with a fucking yo-yo.
Yeah, that's right. You know, for me as well, what's the password? Don't touch the mustache. Japanese. Don't touch your mustache. You're welcome.
Oh, it's so fucking silly. And then there's this big final showdown where they get Ray back, they get the Hulk back, and they fight their way out. And there's quite a fair amount of kind of shooting and explosions and guys flying all over the place. Now, I'm pretty sure if kids seen that, they'd be traumatized for quite a long time. to be fair, it wasn't a bad action scene for a kids' film,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just totally out of place.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit with the rest of the movie. And Hulk Hogan, after watching the Japanese kid doing some karate, decides, you know what, I'm going to finish this guy off with a karate kick. And the clearest, nastiest, shittiest stunt double steps in to do this kick. And to be fair, he had just about the right body shape and size for Hogan, but his hair, his hair looks like a straw mop.
Oh, gone are those kind of movies now, though, right?
It's so bad. And it's got you obviously a cheeseball happy ending and everything's going to be fine. But yeah, fuck that film. And again, it goes back to nostalgia. If you didn't grow up with it, if you didn't see it when you were a kid and enjoy it when you're a kid, it's not going to strike the same chord.
Which is kind of the reason.
You didn't rewatch it. Yeah, you didn't rewatch it for this, did you?
No.
Yeah. I wonder how you'd feel about it if you did.
See, it wasn't that long ago that I did watch it though, and I still felt like I forgive it. And I think because it was a kid's movie and I was a kid when I watched it, it served its purpose. So think about this, right? Do you think the filmmakers were like this? You know what? It's a kid's movie. They'll no notice.
Definitely, but just because something's a kids' movie doesn't mean you shouldn't make an effort. I mean,
True.
there are a lot of good kids' movies out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got Hulk Hogan. I mean, they made an effort. I mean, he basically was the reason.
Unlike him.
But for me, it'll always kind of be one of those movies that I loved watching as a kid, man.
Do you know, I just can't get over how bad his acting was. I mean, this is a guy who essentially acts for a living.
I'm
not talking about the fighting. I'm talking about all the promo stuff and the stuff in the ring and the confidence that they exude. It just seems awkward in the entire film. Throughout the entire film, it just seems awkward.
I think you got to understand about Hogan is he spent most of his career shouting, "What you gonna do, brother?" Right, and posing. Right, everything he was always very energetic and hey, right, which is what wrestling fans refer to as the cartoon era of wrestling. Ultimate Warrior, right? It's all very over the top.
It's like a dog shagging.
There's a clip on YouTube that everybody should check out, and you're going to watch it after this, where Ultimate Warrior, someone's clipped every time Ultimate Warrior ever said Hulk Hogan in a promo. So it goes like this: Hulk Hogan. It's just him continuously going, Hogan, Hulk Hogan.
Oh wow!
Don't watch that.
I just realised these are on the wrong way around.
Hulk Hogan. And that is what Hogan was. Hogan was never the serious acting kind of guy in wrestling. Like he wouldn't never turn the waterworks on. You know how to get sympathy and all that, but through using psychology in wrestling. So this might be the reason that Hogan was never, an Oscar-worthy performer when it came to his on-screen movie roles.
I suppose like to try and play things a little bit more low-key would probably be quite difficult. Right. Okay, right. I'll give him a pass.
So we're giving him a pass on this one.
We'll give him a pass on that one.
Let's.
Eh? What would you give Secret Agent Club out of 10?
Right, you asking me this as me, who I am now, or if I was watching this for the first time?
Who you are?
10. Probably about an 8.
An 8?
Only because of how it makes me feel talking about it and watching it.
Right.
And okay. Also that feeling of, I got this tape for Christmas. Yes. Putting it on and just sitting there on my wee blow up inflatable couch.
Right. Well, again, I've got no connection to it, so I would probably stick with roughly what the IMDb rating is, which is about 3. And I'm not joking, it's about 3. 3.3 maybe.
Oh.
It was pretty poor. But then we move on to Suburban Commando, which you did rewatch for this. So I'm just going to say one thing. The start of the movie got 2 words.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Oh my God, mate! Even Murray noticed it. He's 6. He went, "This is like Star Wars." I'm like, "No shit, son."
It's a lot worse than Star Wars, though. This was clearly like the effects on it were shocking.
Oh, honestly, man, it's the bit where he escapes in the escape pod for the bad guy's ship. Do you know what it looks like? It looks like there's a piece of paper with white dots on it that's meant to be stars, and somebody's got a picture of him in that on a stick, and they're just turning it. These Schwarzenegger-esque noises coming out of him. And I say the film looks like Star Wars, but sounds like Star Trek a lot. I see a lot of the music at the sci-fi bits, like in space. A lot of that music is very like the kind of 1980s Star Trek movies. Sorry, Star Trek 3 and 4 and stuff like that. Very, very similar tones. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same guy that done it. I might have to look it up. But special effects are absolutely shocking.
Can we take a moment to just kind of look at the president that meant nothing, right? The president of what?
The president?
The president at the start that the bad guys got sitting in his wee chair that Hogan fails to save, yet still treats it like it was like a mission accomplished. Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
Yeah, I don't know what he was president of.
Who gives a fuck?
It honestly doesn't matter because he's fucking dead. It makes, and it has no consequence to the story anyway.
And here's another thing, right? So the whole spaceship explodes, and and Hogan's like, right, mission accomplished. Were you not there to save the guy?
It's like, you've never seen Demolition Man? He got done for killing 30-odd folk after something like that happened.
Right, but was the whole objective not to save the president?
Maybe he was to assassinate the president. Maybe that was his job.
It must have been. Because he went there to save the president. Everybody blew up and he's like, that's better. Do you know what I mean? It kind of defeats the purpose, right? It's like, well, I did stop him getting killed by the bad guy.
what I would say about the opening of the film is it was bad, but it was fun.
Going up.
It grabbed my attention in a totally different way than the opening to Secret Agent Club. It just had a better feel, man. It's a very self-aware movie. Mm-hmm. It knows what it is, and it plays on it, and not in a terrible way. That it's doing all right so far. So
here's a question though, right? See how he rocks up, and he pretty much doesn't use them throughout the whole movie, but he rocks up in his big muscle enhancing kit.
Yes.
Does he need muscle enhancers? Because he's jacked, right? But here's another thing. He's not wearing those when he throws the skateboard into outer space. Why does he need them? But why does he need these muscle enhancers?
Well, if he can throw a skateboard into space without them, imagine what he can do with them. Put it that way. So we get to Earth and we're introduced to Christopher Lloyd and his family. I forgot Shelley Duvall was in this.
Mate, let me just say this before anybody that's watched our recent podcast, and we talked about her being completely no easy on the eye, right? First time I ever watched it, I thought, right?
Mate, I've actually written that down.
I was still like, nah, but I was like,
the exact note that I've written is Shelley Duvall is actually really attractive in this when she's in the background and slightly out of focus.
It's like,
but she looks a lot better in this than she did in The Shining. Now that's obviously, that might have been a deliberate thing on Kubrick's point. He might have wanted her to look a bit more disheveled than she normally is. She's never going to be pretty, but she did look a hell of a lot better in this film than I had seen her in other things.
And I think, do you know what as well? I think the character she played was more...
She's more likable.
Right, and more... You want to kind of... Like, if you're going on a date with her, you'd kind of be like, aye.
Oh, she's sound.
Aye. We don't have to worry about too much about this, but the rest is right. Right. We'll work through that.
So we get introduced to that family, and then we see the kids, and when the kids show up, I was like, oh no, are the kids going to have a big part in this? They actually don't. The kids don't show up a lot, which is was actually really quite refreshing, especially for a kids movie. So no, I was quite happy with that. We then get to meet his boss, who's an utter twat.
He's brilliant.
And
He's a Nutty
brilliant at it.
Professor. He's a
Nutty
Nutty Professor, right?
He was the shop manager in Pretty Woman as well. He's always a kind of fast talking douche.
He was born for that role.
Oh, absolutely. And I found myself smiling watching him because it was just that much. It was
He's but now you sound like a motorboat.
It's so fucking silly. Man. So I like Nutty Professor and stuff like that. He is essentially the same character in everything that I've seen.
He's like Hugh Grant.
Slightly less of a dick in Pretty Woman, but still a bit dickish. Now, we also get to see him on his commute home, and every day on his commute home, he ends up, this is Christopher Lloyd, he ends up at the traffic lights next to the same two cars, and they always drag race to the next set of lights. Now,
a bunch of old ladies.
It's an old lady and an old guy and him, and he's in this little shit box. I don't even know what type of car it is, probably a Datsun or something. And then he never makes it to the next set of lights and has to reverse back, right? What are those traffic lights for? There's nothing around that area that suggests there's even a set of traffic lights required. It's like they're there just to drag race. There's no crossroads or anything. It's just an extra fucking set of traffic lights. Anyway, he's had a bad day. He was supposed to ask for a raise for his boss, and his boss just kind of talked him out of it before he even asked, and just having a bad day. Then he gets home and his arsehole neighbour's out farting about with a drag racer. Like him and his mates all working on this car, and they're taking up loads of room in the street. I really empathised with his character at that point because I've told you before about my hillbilly neighbours. It's the same shit with them. Shitbox cars sitting outside, just strewn everywhere, just making the street look nasty. Anyway, that's a different thing. So I did empathise with him. And the Hulk showed, he kind of, obviously he's on Earth at this point. When he lands on Earth, I actually laughed. I laughed out loud when the ship kind of splutters to a halt, like. Then it just kind of, it's like a coyote, Wile E. Coyote cartoon. It just kind of hangs there for a second and then falls through the roof of this. I think it's a skate rink.
But did you see what it said on the outside?
Yep, landing pad. Do you know what I'm thinking? See, I thought about that. I was like, that is so stupid. What's the chances of that being called landing pad? But what I'm thinking is maybe he's got some kind of intergalactic sat-nav thing, and he was trying to find a landing pad near where he was, and that came up on his sat-nav. Oh, that must be a landing pad.
You do this all the time.
I'm giving them too much credit.
You do it like they meant it, and you're just that's you basically doing what you would have explained. Like that's your way of making that work, right? Which is absolutely much better than what they came up with. Stop giving them it. Take it back.
Now, I'm going to say something now. I don't know. This might be sacrilegious in the wrestling world, right? Does Hulk Hogan have hair extensions?
You see, in this movie, he does. That's not his long hair.
It looks right. I was just making right. That's fine.
It's always
did you notice he's got a braid as well? He's got a single braid on one side. It's like awesome.
Let's talk about his name, Shep Ramsey.
Yeah, that intergalactic name. I mean, if I was to go to another galaxy and another planet, I'd expect to find somebody called Ramsey. What is that about? They do that. They do that a lot with movies, though. That like, try and think of another example of it. But I mean, I understand most science fiction movies tend to work on the premise that English is essentially a universal language. Somehow, it's just caught on everywhere for the most part, unless the film or program makers go to enough time to write a full language like Klingon or Dothraki and shit like that. I know Dothraki's not aliens, but anyway. So, but the name Shep Ramsey, I mean, it should have had a name like, you know, like Zardoz or something. You know, something that sounds a bit more
Thunderwing Doomslayer.
What the fuck is that? You just make it up.
Thunderwing Doomslayer. I mean, if I was an alien, okay, I'll take that. No, my name is Kevin.
Do you know, actually not that. Thunderwing Doomslayer sounds like a fucking 14-year-old's username on a gaming site. He's trying to think of the coolest things, and that's what he's come up with.
Thunder Wings Doom Slayer.
So obviously the story progresses, and Shep ends up moving in with Christopher Lloyd and his family into the apartment that they've made out the back, or that she made out the back out of his workshop, and never told him. He walked in to go to the workshop to bang stuff because he was angry and realised it had been completely converted into an apartment.
Which is why she was allowing him to bang her. It was going to kind of take the edge off.
Ah, there we go.
By the way, just
kids film, by the way.
I know. And on a side note here, see if your missus came to you like that, and you patched her, I'm not in the mood. Would she be like, that's fine?
No.
She'd be like, I'm losing weight. Fuck him. He's seen someone else. Right?
Yeah.
She would not be like, that's fine.
But again, it's her character. She's a very nice person in this film.
That's why we like her, because she's sound.
Aye, she's nice. She's nice. And so Christopher Lloyd is suspicious of Shep right away. And he goes out, Shep goes out for the night, and he kind of goes into his apartment, starts snooping around, and finds like laser guns, and then somehow finds his ship. How does he find the ship again? That's obviously at a different location.
Who, Shep? Oh, because Christopher Lloyd follows Shep.
Oh, that's right. He follows
Shep
him.
goes in to kind of make to see how long he's got to wait till his ship is repaired.
I did laugh though. See when he found that gun and he pulled the trigger and it went through the lamp and through the wall and blew up the neighbour's car. I was like that. There was a few times in this film where I genuinely laughed, which was nice.
Same.
Aye. I mean, this hasn't got a great score on IMDb. Like it's like 4.5 or 4.6 or something. It's not a good score, but so far I'm actually kind of digging it. But again, I did see it when I was a kid, so it's maybe that nostalgia thing kicking in. But I genuinely, even watching it, it was me, the wife, and the son. We all watched it last night. I kind of forced them to watch it, and even my wife was laughing. Oh, that's they fucking mean feet like. So he follows him to the ship, and then he finds his muscle enhancer. So Christopher Lloyd puts this muscle enhancing suit on, and then just as soon as he puts it on, of course, there's a damsel in distress, and he has to go and rescue her. Now, was it just me, or were you slightly uncomfortable with the attempted rape in a kids' film?
Absolutely.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I know.
It could have been anything. It could have been a liquor store robbery or something, but it was straight out of RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact scene for RoboCop when he shoots the guy's dick. It totally reminded me of that, down to the clothes that the guys were wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it an homage or a rip-off? I don't
Well,
know.
they do kind of talk. They do homage to other movies, like what do you got next for me? Aliens that puke on everybody, like Starship Troopers. They do reference other movies, so maybe that's.
Starship Troopers came out after that.
Did it?
1998. Starship Troopers.
How bizarre.
Or 97.
Was this not 99?
No. This was 90, 91 or 93.
I think you're right. I think it was 91, but I'm just double checking. Just going to double check that. It's Suburban Commando was 91.
Right.
Same year I was born.
Obviously, that's the second best thing to come out that year.
Oh man.
Sweetheart. So obviously he's got this suit on, and he foils this attempted rape by kind of kicking these two guys' asses, and then the woman offers to thank him essentially with sexual favors. It's like, I'll do anything for you. Do you think at any point in the real world, a woman that's just been raped or an attempted rape's just been attempted on this woman, is she going to turn around and offer sexual favors to anybody at that point in time? No. She's clammed up, man. It's never going to happen. So again, silly moment. But again, it just made me uncomfortable, that whole scene, with the fact that it was a kids' movie. If it works in RoboCop, it's a film for adults. But attempted rape in a kids' film is a wee bit fucked up. Now, quite closely followed by something else that's a wee bit fucked up. Now, in that scene, he loses a gun of Shep's. It's a freeze gun. So he drops it at the scene. These guys come back and get the gun and go and rob a bank with it. So Shep finds out that he's worn the suit. and that this is missing. So he goes and grabs him for his work and says, "You come with me, and we need to find this gun." So they get to somehow find. Oh yeah, it's that little
track it.
tracker device that's the thing for Ghostbusters, with the two things that come out the side. It's that exact thing. They find it using that, and they get to the bank, and everybody's been frozen stiff. And
one of my favorites.
That's what this gun does. Now, the funny thing is, you can tell that everybody's just trying to stand as still as possible, because everybody's like, it doesn't matter how still you stand, you're always going to be slight movements, and you see quite a lot of kind of that going on. But what's really funny is when they get frozen, they've all got perfectly stoic faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody's like this, because it's even harder to hold that face.
Yeah.
Still. So everybody's just like, and that just struck me funny. But anyway, the bad guys have got this gun. They end up having a tussle over it. Christopher Lloyd gets shot with a gun, and he's frozen. Shep gets shot with a gun.
That's my favourite bit.
And doesn't freeze, because at the moment he gets
antifreeze,
he's drinking antifreeze.
Just had that in his pocket.
Again, I'm no doctor. I'm pretty sure that would kill you. I'm pretty sure that some people have done that to try and commit suicide.
Here's the thing, though.
Not the best message to send to kids.
Here's the thing, right?
It's cold outside. Go and drink your antifreeze.
Right? He's shooting Shep, right? At what point he must have just went like this while being shot. Get my antifreeze out, unscrew the lid, start drinking, right? He'd have been frozen in that time.
Do you know what? They shouldn't have done that. They should have just not let him get shot. That would have been, if you just done a forward roll out the way of it and then battered the guy. Mm-hmm. That's fine, but no, they had to have the antifreeze thing. Antifreeze.
It got me. Antifreeze. That's Hogan. That is Hogan.
But and then it was after they thaw out. After Christopher Lloyd thaws out, and he's got a really bad headache, and I like that wee detail. I like the detail that he had a really sore head. You know, it's like when you get brain freeze, it fucking hurts. So I like that was a clever wee detail to stick in there. The Undertaker shows up. Sorry, Mark Calloway shows up as a bounty hunter, him and this other guy who isn't a wrestler. I looked him up. I thought he might be because he looked like one. But obviously he wasn't. He's just a character actor. But
I think Undertaker's character's called Hutch, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think it's ever mentioned.
No, it's credited as Hutch.
Yeah. So these two guys have been sent by the big bad guy to kind of find Shep, and I think they have to try and just capture him and bring him home. They're bounty hunters. So they show up to basically get him. And it ends up in this showdown in the skyscraper that Christopher Lloyd's character's been working on building. And a kind of pretty decent kind of exchange happens. It's a really good fun chase and fight scene. And it's silly humor, but it did make me chuckle.
See the bit with his voice? That's why you guys never talk.
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
He's just been dubbed over by a kid's voice, and that's really funny. It's because it's the Undertaker.
I know.
I mean, if that wasn't the Undertaker, I don't think that would have been as funny.
Here's the thing, though. What we have to acknowledge is, see, when he played that role, Mark Calloway was only had just become the Undertaker at this point, so he was considered a rookie. No one at that time would have looked at that and gone, "There's the Undertaker." Right. He had just become the Undertaker at that point, like literally just. He became the Undertaker in 1990, towards the end of 1990. So this is 1991. He's very early in the business at this point. So it's not. No one's watching this and going, "There's Undertaker." You know what I mean?
I liked it, but I did notice the couple of wee references to wrestling in there as well.
Which ones?
It's when I think he beats one of them, and then the other one comes in. He's like, "Oh, what is this? A tag team?" Like, okay. And then I'm sure Christopher Lloyd refers to it as some kind of intergalactic grudge match. And I was like, okay, I'm getting these references.
Love it.
So we get this kind of fun.
Do you know what's funny? Do you know what's funny? When we were at Comic-Con Scotland, Christopher Lloyd and The Undertaker hung it.
Oh, did they?
They did. There's a picture of them together. I wonder if they talked about Suburban Commando
That'd have been cool, eh?
because they were both there that day.
Did Todd bring up Suburban Commando to Christopher Lloyd when he spoke to him?
No, I don't think he did.
Did somebody do it? Because I'm sure I remember, because I was thinking about it. I was thinking about doing it and I didn't.
We'll need to bring it. We'll need to rewatch the footage, but I don't recall someone bringing it up. But they would have. This makes sense as to why he went to see the Undertaker. Because I thought I didn't know he was a wrestling fan, but realistically, the two of them were in the same movie.
It takes a podcast to bring these thoughts together, doesn't it?
Do you know what I love about that? Sometimes we'll do something, and then a year later, it comes full circle, right? I think that's awesome. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of there's a kind of couple references to wrestling in there. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, see at the start where Hogan picks up both kids, like, "Are these yours?" Drops them. Sure, if you look at the back of the kid, you can see like a handle.
I saw it on the boy.
On the harness.
I didn't notice that. I thought, oh, come on, son. Wait, take two. That would have fixed that problem. Take two. Done. Actually, going a wee bit earlier on in the film, I did also really find funny the stuff with him getting used to Earth and the mime.
Oh, the mime had me howling.
Only the first one, though.
Field. Must be a force field. I'll help you.
I did laugh at that. So did the wife. So did my son. We all found that funny. That was the only one that was really funny, though.
They overplayed it a bit with it.
It kind of went on a bit, and it was they were all too close together. If they spread it out throughout the film a wee bit more, it might have worked a wee bit. But also, they were all within the space of 10 minutes or so.
Here's the thing, right? We know that in this suburbia, there's fuck all decent going on at night. As you can see, women getting raped, handbags being stolen, cars fleeing through the place, banks being robbed. Why would someone choose to go out and mime at night?
He does actually say that. I'm not doing nights anymore.
But why would he be doing nights anyway? I'm on the night shift tonight. Hold on while I go to pay this mime, who's like, is he even on the main street?
He does seem to be hanging about in back alleys, doesn't he?
Right. So what? He's a terrible mime.
I think we need to investigate his situation a wee bit more.
Yeah, I think he was on drugs.
So there was the bit with the mime. There was a bit with the old woman telling him how to tell if a melon's ripe. It's like,
Oh, the softer the better.
and he's like, goes all over it. I found a good one. Oh, you big goof.
Stuff like that got me, man.
And the best bit with the wee girl with the cat. Like, my cat stuck up a tree, and he grabs the tree, pulls it down. She's like, "That's not my cat," and he's like, "Oh," lets it go. The cat goes fucking flying, and then they revisit that again at the end when they pull it down, and it is her cat this time, but she grabs onto the branch just before he lets it go. She fucking launches, and it's a clear dummy. But again, it's the part of this film being really self-aware. It's obviously a dummy. They know it looks like a dummy, but that's what makes it funnier. And if they used a stunt person or something to do that, it just wouldn't have been funny. But it just moves totally unnaturally, and then obviously he catches on the arms. The two kids earlier on in the film, he had a go on a skateboard and fell on his arse.
That was howling.
The same kids come up again with a skateboard, and he does a pretty impressive skateboard routine with backflips and shit like that. And I think he ends up breaking the wheel on the boy's skateboard as he lands. The guy's like, "Oh man, this is my last board." Like, he's got a collection of skateboards. I don't know a lot of kids that have got loads of them. But he's like, "That's okay. You can take mine." Where did that skateboard come from? It's got fucking rockets and 6 wheels, and it's like he wasn't. Was he carrying that around the whole time?
I know.
And why would he have that skateboard if he couldn't ride it?
I know.
These are wee silly things, but again, I'll forgive it because the rest of the film was pretty enjoyable, and I almost hate myself for enjoying it, but I did.
It was.
It's so much more fun than Secret Agent Club, and I think harshly scored on IMDb as well at 4.5.
See, can we just pay attention to one detail here that we've kind of missed, right? At the start, when the piece of paper cuts off the bad guy's hand, and you start to see this thing go out of the hand, right? So he doesn't have a hand. Then he's destroyed within the ship so all his exterior will be destroyed now. Nope, we see him perfectly intact.
Yeah, he's fine again.
Right? Unless you hit him in the balls, then he's going to come out.
That was quite funny though when he grabbed. I think he grabbed his nuts. I think he
Yeah.
like crushed his nuts, and that's what made him turn into that fanny-faced alien.
Like
That alien, it's like a cross between the Predator and the
A
Xenomorph
and a gremlin.
and a Gremlin. Aye, it's like just a mishmash of a lot of pop culture stuff. For that time, it worked for a kids' film. I think at that point my wee boy got a wee bit scared. Actually, he's like, "What the fuck has happened in this film?" Because it just went from like good fun caper to there's a fucking demon on screen.
A demon. Oh, Hogan's a demon. Brother.
But no, it was good, and there was some decent kind of witty lines in it. It was well written for a kids' film. I don't quite understand why it is so badly scored on. I don't know what it is on Rotten Tomatoes, but I know it's like a 4.5 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to bet it's somewhere about 13%.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was cool to see Christopher Lloyd playing that character that he played before he went to play the crazy one in Dennis. Dennis. Because
Oh, mate, 15% critic score
and
and 32% audience score.
I see the audience like it better than the critics.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was probably my favourite Hogan movie.
I do remember really enjoying Mr. Nanny when I was a kid, but that's got like 3.2 on IMDb as well. So maybe that's as bad as Secret Agent Club, and I just don't remember it that way.
Let's revisit Mr. Nanny. I'll watch it and we'll kind of give our 2 cents on the next episode in a brief kind of fleeting conversation.
We'll make it very brief. I think we've spoken about Hulk Hogan movies enough.
Yeah.
I think for the most part they are utter shite. Suburban Commando is the kind of
creme de la creme.
The diamond in the rough, we'll say.
I loved it. Loved it.
But it was decent fun, and the whole family enjoyed it. It was just the rape scene in antifreeze. It was a wee bit disturbing.
Yeah, but hey, that was the 90s, eh?
You could get away with a good rape in a Wayne's film, you know.
Exactly. So yeah. So if you guys have enjoyed this show and you want to kind of recommend a movie for us to check out, or if you want to hear us talk about specific subjects, please make sure to check us out at www.jibberjabberpodcast.com. You can also make sure to check this show out visually by watching it on YouTube, and you can catch us on Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. That's true. We are absolutely everywhere. So you can download these episodes and listen on the go, or you can watch us live on the show.
Yeah, actually, one more thing, which I'm just going to mention. On Sunday, the 24th of this month, we've got a special guest coming on. We've not had a special guest for a few weeks, so I thought it's time to get one on. Now, this is a fellow by the name of Peter McHugh. Now, he wrote...
Doctor.
It doesn't say that on here.
Does it not?
No, Peter A. McHugh. Have you got Dr. McHugh on your book?
Says Peter A. on this one as well.
There we go. But is he a parapsychologist or?
He's a doctor, yeah. Dr. Peter McHugh is a retired clinical psychologist.
There we go. And this is paranormal stories and accounts from all over Britain. He's written a few books on different types of subjects. The one that I bought to go through was Britain's Paranormal Forests. It's available on Amazon for about £10. Kevin,
I got Paranormal Encounters on Britain's Roads.
Britain's Roads, right? So we're going to read these books. He's coming on the show on Sunday the 24th. That's not when it's going to be released. It'll be released probably within a week after that.
Not even that.
And yeah, a few days after that, we'll get that out to you. And that should be a really fun conversation. We all like the spooky goings on of the world of the paranormal.
So you guys have read the book, or you want to go ahead and read it now, check it out on Amazon, buy it, send your questions in, and we will credit you, and we will speak to the guy about the thing you kind of want us to talk about with him. But it will be a really interesting show. You'll be able to see it visually here on YouTube. But we recommend checking this book out and the one Jordan has, and letting us know if there's anything you would like to have said on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been real. I can't believe at the age of 36 I sat and watched 2 Hulk Hogan movies consecutively. I'm just glad the second one redeemed the waste of time that I made on the first one. So I'm sorry for slating one of your childhood favourites, Kev, but hey ho, we're not all we don't all have taste as good as yours. So
No, you do not.
so yeah, once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe. If you watch carefully right now, a little bell's going to appear. There it is. And am I pointing the right way? Who fucking knows? We'll find out when the video comes out. So have yourselves a good afternoon, good morning, good night, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching.